Good afternoon, Rajiv sir. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us for this discussion today. So this is the first discussion in a series of discussions where sort of we speak to exemplary founders like yourself and try to get sort of insights from your mind as to how your particular space and company is evolving for the
Mhm.
public awareness. Yeah. So, sir, if you could just maybe in a line or two give a brief about yourself, and then we can head on to the ONDC space, which is the topic for today.
Yeah, sure, Pradesh. Pleasure to be here. And I'm Rajiv. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Hippo Innovations. And we are one of the leading e-commerce enablers. And we have two products, Storypo, which is an enterprise SaaS platform designed for different B2B and B2C models. And My Store, which is one of the leading NPs on this ecosystem.
Thank you. So, you mentioned ONDC, sir. Would just like to understand because since it's a new technology, there are usually a lot of assumptions around this space on how it is
Mhm.
advantageous, how it is not. It would be helpful if you could clarify exactly what this ONDC infrastructure aims to achieve uh, and
Mhm.
what it is exactly.
Yeah, sure. So ONDC is an initiative by the government of India. So it stands for Open Network for Digital Commerce. So everyone must have heard about UPI.
Yes.
So like UPI have eased the transactions between two
Hmm.
parties. So ONDC's objective is to ease the e-commerce or ease of doing e-commerce for the buyer as well as for the sellers. So like UPI, there are the two parties, the peers are the banks that are part and through which the sender and the receiver execute the transaction. In ONDC, instead of banks, there are buyer NP and seller NP. So the buyers interact with ONDC protocol through buyer apps, and the seller interact with ONDC protocol through seller apps. And there's a series of protocols and handshakes and negotiations that happen, which culminate into the transaction.
Got
So,
it.
and it's an open network,
Hmm.
so anybody can join
Understood.
and be
Initially,
part of the
sir,
network.
I feel a lot of people were linking ONDC companies to maybe competitors of other e-commerce platforms like Amazon or Flipkart. But this UPI example was a
Mhm.
great example as to this is actually the infrastructure for these e-commerce platform. It's not directly competing with any Amazon of the world
Yes.
or Flipkart of the world.
No, it is completely different. People have
Hmm.
this misconception that it is like a
Hmm.
marketplace, but
Yes.
it is not. So
Hmm.
marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, they are closed systems. So where
Hmm.
the buyer and seller are on the same system, and then neither the seller get an opportunity or options to be available on different places, and neither the buyer get all the different products. So some products on ONDC right now are from the artisans or from the tier three and
Hmm.
tier four segments, and that
Hmm.
is the segment that is not even present on the current marketplaces
Yes.
because they have not been touched by the growth in the e-commerce.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that is what ONDC is trying to achieve.
Understood. Great. Just an extension to that, sir. What I think before ONDC and after the conceptualization of ONDC, what were the biggest advantages that got unlocked for both these sellers and buyers in the space?
Right. So from the seller point of view, so ONDC is not solving one problem, it is solving multiple problems.
Hmm.
So if you know the e-commerce penetration, the retail e-commerce penetration in India is less than 10%. It is close to like 7, 8%
Hmm.
compared to other geographies or maybe in China where it is around 45%. So there is a huge gap, and that is because like these challenges that has been there in the Indian e-commerce system have not been solved, and the challenges are mostly related to the technology, the discovery of the product, the marketing cost, and eventually the operations. So
Got it.
different marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart have tried to solve that over the
Hmm.
past like couple of decades, but they have not focused on the entire geography. They have focused on like a small set of sellers, like
Hmm.
maybe tier one sellers who can scale and all that.
Hmm.
So for sellers, like for ONDC, what it brings to the table, even the small sellers without much resources or without too much of marketing spend, can first onboard with ease, and secondly, the marketing, they are discoverable across different buyer apps, and that is a
Hmm.
huge plus.
Understood. And I
And
think,
from the buyer side,
yes.
yeah. So that was from the seller side,
Hmm.
and from the buyer side, it gives access to those products and sellers that are not even present on like other marketplaces. For example, see, you do your shopping every
Hmm.
day. So
Hmm.
you go to the nearby market and local market. So how
Yes.
many local sellers you find it on these marketplaces?
Hmm.
Probably
Right.
none, or maybe less than 5%.
Yes. Yes.
Most of the sellers you see on the marketplaces are not the sellers that you know, that you trust, that are nearby you,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So ONDC brings those local sellers or your neighborhood sellers also on the network, so you can
Hmm.
directly purchase from them.
Understood. Understood. This is great. So a lot of potential use cases. Is
Mhm.
that what led you to incorporate this company in particular? I'd just like to understand. So what were the problems that you were essentially trying to solve? Were you aiming to cover this entire gamut of things?
Right. So let me give you a brief background. So like people know my store, but before my store, so we have a huge experience in
Hmm.
enabling e-commerce for different entities, both in India and outside globally.
Hmm.
So we have another product, like I mentioned, Storypo. So it has been there more than 9 years now, and there we have been enabling and building marketplaces for players like Amul, SBI Life, Cloud9, Syngenta, and globally
Hmm.
also like GSC, Whites. And so over the last these 8 9 years, we have understood and solved these challenges that the e-commerce merchants face, whether it is related to operations, whether it is related to cataloging, or whether it is related to marketing. So we have solved these challenges over a period of time. So when ONDC came 2 years ago, so that we saw this great opportunity because ONDC was solving those challenges
Hmm.
and allowing us to take this expertise and experience further and reach to the masses. So while Storypo, we were targeting like mostly enterprises. So my store gives us the ability to reach out to like small tiers and small sellers and provide this platform that we have built to them.
Great, great. So this is a very interesting point, sir. So, like you said, running this company or this particular format for 9 years, it only boosted your trajectory once the ONDC was conceptualized, right? And not the other way around. We see a lot of ONDC companies now coming up after the regulations have been sort of
Right,
drafted.
right,
But I think
right.
this is, would you say this is your biggest market differentiation amongst your competitors, that you've been there for a longer
Yes,
tenure?
yes, that definitely helps because
Hmm.
everybody wants to move faster.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, given the business models are changing, like whether it is quick commerce, and so every year there is a new business model that comes up. Sometimes like education is hot, sometimes like agri is hot, right? And
Hmm.
now the quick commerce is the flavor of the season. So, I mean, people need to adapt and
Hmm.
maybe adapt to these business models very fast. So,
Yeah.
being a platform and being a very flexible platform,
Hmm.
that gives us that power so that we can easily adapt and launch these business models very quickly. And that is a very big differentiator because that allows us, the underlying platform allows us to move faster than the others.
Understood. Great, great. Is what are the other challenges that you may have faced? Essentially, were the challenges more after you saw the competition flooding the market, or has it always been there? I would like to get a sense of both the advantages and challenges of, yeah, running your business,
Right.
essentially.
No, so the competition has been there always. When we
Hmm.
started, like
Hmm.
9 years ago, there were many e-commerce platforms, as platforms that were there in the market. I remember
Hmm.
there might be 10 to 15
Hmm.
e-commerce platforms that were there. Like maybe fast forward 7 8 years. I mean, apart from Storypo, there are only two, three e-commerce platforms that have survived because
Hmm.
it is a very competitive market, right? So
Understood.
the competition keep on changing. I mean, the key is you need to be strong enough and flexible enough to adapt to these challenges.
Understood.
And the challenges also differ, like from time
Hmm.
to time. When we started,
Hmm.
so the
Hmm.
challenge was to convince sellers and sales, because the Indian merchant mentality is to pay upfront. I mean,
Hmm.
they don't want to have something where they have to pay recurring charges,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
The adoption
Hmm.
of SaaS was so to convince these merchants and enterprises that SaaS
Hmm.
is the best way to go. And that was the initial challenge. But gradually, over the period of time, I think merchants, enterprises, and e-commerce sellers, they have understood the fact that SaaS is the best way to go.
Hmm.
But now the ecosystem is the new thing. Like ecosystem is the next level that SaaS platforms should
Hmm.
evolve to, because SaaS platforms have made it easier for these customers and merchants to take
Hmm.
their product online. But
Hmm.
there is still a lot of things that merchants have to do,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So the
Right.
ecosystem like ONDC
Hmm.
takes care of even those challenges. So that is an evolution of even SaaS platforms.
Hmm. Absolutely, sir. And also, I think now that we are living in the age of internet, right, where India is pretty much covered geographically entirely with internet coverage. So anyone sitting in Kashmir may have the same access to information with someone sitting in Chennai and similar to someone
Mhm.
sitting in Mumbai, right? But just want to
Right.
harp on the point on merchant adoption. How was the experience in convincing the merchants to go away from their traditional line of business? Sorry, and sort of adopt this new mechanism.
So I would say COVID also helped. So
Okay.
people, merchant know, I mean, going digitally or going online is not an option, right? It is a must have. So you need
Hmm.
to go online. So it is not
Hmm.
an option anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that has helped like convincing these sellers. So everybody understand the importance of going online
Hmm.
and growing their business.
Okay. Is it the case where when one merchant converts, he also spreads his word of mouth and people end up moving towards this online platform as well?
Yes, that certainly helps. In fact, a lot
Hmm.
of our customers come from the word of mouth.
Okay.
So at
Okay.
my store seller app on ONDC, we have more than 16,000 sellers now.
Hmm.
And that has come with very minimal marketing budget.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So a lot of these sellers have onboarded themselves. So mostly it has been DIY. And
Hmm.
a large number of them have been through references and word of mouth. Once they experience the system, how easy it is, how effective it
Hmm.
is, they tell
Hmm.
others. And
Understood.
secondly,
Understood.
we have with MyStore, we have reduced the entry barrier also.
Okay.
So there is no upfront onboarding fee or setup fee.
Hmm. Hmm.
It
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
the pay as you pay per use kind of thing. So you pay only
Okay.
a small transaction fee on every transaction. So that also has helped the adoption.
Got it. Got it. And I think this will be very easy for you to scale in terms of business, right? In the future, if it's all spreading through majority through word of mouth. You said, like you said, 16,000 sellers, majority through word of mouth. Do you see this
Right.
trend going forward as you scale up as well?
Yes. So we see that
Okay.
that is going to be the biggest. I mean, it is only going to be accelerating from here.
Hmm. Hmm.
So once everybody understand the how ONDC is going to benefit, I mean, then we will see a hockey stick growth, and we are at just the bottom of that hockey stick growth, I assume.
Understood. Great. Great. So, sir, speaking on your company, Milestone, what are some of the innovations that we can expect in the next couple of years, and what's big going on at Hippo, basically?
Right. So what at my store? So we are at the forefront. We are almost releasing new features every 1 2 weeks and new modules.
Hmm.
So we are aggressively believe that we need to adapt to the new things, whether it is AI. So we have been using AI very much. For
Hmm.
example, like we have incorporated AI to improve the relevance of search. Because
Hmm.
on ONDC, the catalog comes from different sources in different shapes and sizes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the relevancy was a bigger concern. So we worked very aggressively with them. We worked with the Google team and they used the Gemini to
Hmm.
improve that relevancy. And now when you search on my store, you will get like very relevant product. right? Second,
Understood.
another way, like we faced from the seller side, we saw that seller has to spend a lot of time in cataloging.
Hmm.
Like they have to repeat certain steps, and there's a manual step that every seller has
Hmm.
to do. So on the seller side, we incorporated certain AI tools through which they can create their catalog by providing just a single image. So through a single
Okay.
image, all the
Hmm.
attributes, title, description, their HSN category, everything is
Hmm.
automatically. So the time that it took somebody for 5 minutes to upload a product, it has come
Hmm.
down to maybe 10, 20 seconds.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah.
is amazing. Hmm.
Right.
Being
Then,
this yes, please go on, sir. Please go on.
okay. Then on the marketing side also, we saw
Hmm.
like there are challenges that small sellers, they are not able to tell or share with their customers where to buy the product.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
were the
Hmm.
first one to come up with a customizable QR code or the
Okay.
product QR code and offline PDF catalog. So
Hmm.
that helped the small sellers to market their products through WhatsApp or in the event, place their QR code to make it easier for their customers. Then on the
Hmm.
operation side also, so we realized these sellers, especially the sellers that start
Hmm.
early, they don't have time to process, or that is a cumbersome process for them to fulfill the order.
Hmm.
So we came up that with the auto creation of the shipment, and we also came up with one-click fulfillment. So the sellers just get a WhatsApp message whenever the order is placed, and they all they have to do is click that I'm ready, and the entire thing, the pickup is generated automatically, shipping label is sent to them. All of that thing happens automatically, and that has also helped sellers a lot.
Wow.
So different innovations we have done.
Hmm. And effectively, at a time where you required separate personnel to look at merchandising, at cataloging, at labeling, now it's all done
Right,
automatically. It's all done
right,
through AI. That is great.
right.
Yes. So I think, sir, honestly, Hippo as a company has been growing. You talked about this hockey stick trajectory. I feel like
Right.
this company has already been growing at such a rapid pace and for a very and like a consistent amount of time. And
Mhm.
only excited to see what the future holds for you and Hippo Innovations as well. So thank you, Mr. Rajiv, for taking the time. If there's any concluding remarks that you would like to leave with us, maybe some thought on the ONDC space and why we should be interested to track it, and would be happy
Right.
to hear from you.
No, I mean, my concluding remark will be there are certain people like who are skeptical about ONDC by looking at
Hmm.
certain initial challenges that it had. Right. My
Hmm.
advice to them is like this is going to be it's to go see beyond those initial challenges that ONDC had and
Hmm.
look at the network concept because nobody has the slightest of the doubt
Hmm.
that ONDC is going to transform the digital commerce, not just in India but globally. And
Hmm.
sooner you get on board, the better it is.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rajiv, sir. It was a pleasure to gain your insights. Very valuable. And thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time today.
Thank you, Pratish.
Thank
Nice
you.
talking to you.
No worries.